As we've learned, the glenohumeral joint has a significant amount of range of motion, arguably the most range of motion in any joint, capable of movement in the sagittal plane, that's front and back, of flexion extension, also moving out to the side in the frontal plane of abduction and adduction, and then moving in the transverse or horizontal plane of internal and external rotation. Let's look at some of those muscles which move the shoulder now. First of all, the muscles on the front, I have this muscular arm here. We're looking at the frontal view of it, or the anterior view. Here are the flexors. This is biceps brachii. And we're looking at the front of the scapula. This is subscapularis on the front side or underneath the scapula. So the muscles which will flex the glenohumeral joint, first part is deltoid. We can see this large triangular shaped muscle. On the front part of it, this section here is capable of moving the shoulder glenohumeral joint into flexion, anterior deltoid. Right beside it, this muscle sitting right here is known as coraco, because it attaches to the coracoid process, brachialis into the upper arm. Both these muscles, these two here, will work synergistically to flex the glenohumeral joint. Let's look at the movement of abduction, abduction. Abduction, if we look again at deltoid, the middle part of deltoid will take the arm away from the side, abduction, as will this muscle on top, above the spine of the scapula, called supraspinatus. Both these two muscles will work synergistically to abduct the arm. We're now going to look at extension. This is movement of the arm backwards, or we'll call it hyperextension, moving the arm backwards behind you. The posterior fibers of deltoid now can bring the arm backwards into extension, as can this very large muscle over here known as latissimus dorsi. It's a very large muscle attaching to the humerus, can bring the arm back into hyperextension. Finally, the glenohumeral joint can move into rotation, internal and external rotation. As far as external rotation goes, I'm going to take the deltoid off here, and we can see two other muscles of the rotator cuff, supraspinatus being one of them. Down here we have a muscle called infraspinatus, as well as this muscle down here called teres minor. These muscles will work synergistically to externally or laterally rotate the glenohumeral joint. Finally, to internally rotate the glenohumeral joint, we have, first of all, this large muscle here. That's called subscapularis, and it works synergistically with pectoralis major. Pectoralis major up here. These two muscles will internally rotate the glenohumeral joint. And the movement that I have just left out is adduction. So let's talk about how to adduct or bring your arm close to your side. The movement or muscles involved with that, once again, pectoralis major, and turning around latissimus dorsi. Both these muscles will powerfully squeeze together. So you can see that we have very large muscles which bring our arms close to our side, which I think was part of our evolutionary past, needing for us to climb trees and squeeze things strongly together in building tools. We'll now take a look at the movements of the elbow and muscles of the elbow. We're going to start with the front of the elbow. The anterior view, I've shown you this one already. This is called biceps brachii. I've taken deltoid off. Notice it has two heads, biceps brachii, and its action is to flex or bend the elbow. So if you were to flex your own elbow, you could palpate biceps brachii. Underneath biceps brachii, if I take that off, is a deep muscle to it called brachialis, very powerful flexor of the elbow as well. Muscles which extend the elbow are on the opposite side, and this is always the case. The opposite muscle group, called the antagonist, is on the opposite side of the muscle which did the other action. So at the back of the arm, we see triceps, and we'll note that triceps has actually three heads. It's a bit difficult to see on the model, but we can see here one head there. We can see another head over here, and then down here, in fact, is another head, three heads to triceps. So that's going to extend the elbow. To cause the motion of supination, which is moving the palm up like this, The muscles involved for supination, as it turns out, biceps brachii can do this as well. Because it attaches to the radius, it's capable of rolling over in contraction and supinating. There's a deep muscle called supinator deep down here, which gives the ability to supinate as well. And then finally, the muscles which pronate. We have one here actually called pronator teres. It's in your forearm. And then one deep down in the wrist, way down at the bottom of the wrist, like a sweatband, and that is called pronator quadratus, a square-shaped muscle which does pronation. These are the muscles which move the glenohumeral joint, the elbow, as well as the wrist. So let's get in finally to looking at the wrist, and that will be in our next presentation.